The active weather pattern we have been seeing in March will continue to remain active as we go deeper into March, especially mid and late March, as we have another significant storm system that will bring anything from a blizzard with heavy snow to heavy rain and flash flooding and even significant severe weather to the United States as we go into later next week. In this forecast, we're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know as you step out your door over the next 7 to 10 days, and we're going to be going step by step through the forecast here. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow along with all my reliable and accurate weather information here on YouTube by subscribing, like the video, give it a thumbs up, especially if you find it very informative and detailed, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I truly do appreciate it. Let's get into the nuts and bolts here of the forecast, and we're looking here at some warmer than normal temperatures up here across the upper Midwest, northern plains on this Saturday, March 8th. A little bit colder than normal with the blues and greens showing down here across the southern tier of the U.S., but as we go into Sunday, tomorrow, March 9th, we start to see a nice plume of warmer Pacific air moving further east into much of the northern tier of the United States, while the cooler air remains underneath across the Gulf Coast states. And that's where the active weather will really be as we go through the weekend. So let's share that with you. We do have a storm system, and that's why we are cooler down here. We have a lot more cloud cover, more precipitation, and naturally that keeps our temperatures cooler than normal. That's why the northern U.S. is warmer, because they're seeing more sunny conditions, and that keeps our temperatures a little bit warmer than normal versus the cloud cover and the precipitation keeping them below normal further south. Let's talk about the storm system that's bringing some rain and some stronger thunderstorms to the Lone Star State, especially along and east of the I-35 corridor, parts of Oklahoma into the Gulf Coast states, and then over here into the Texas Panhandle, we are actually seeing some heavier snowfall into places like Amarillo, even up into the Oklahoma Panhandle and northeastern New Mexico. So as we go into this evening, we're going to start to see that snowfall continue to fall across the Texas Panhandle, heavy rains into the Sooner State of Oklahoma, south of the Red River Valley there into North Texas and East Texas, into the Razorback State of Arkansas, into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, you name it. We're going to have a lot of rainfall this evening. That'll continue to trickle off to the east as we go through the day on Sunday, and unsettled it will be across the southeast as we round out the weekend. So let's look at the cold side of this system. First and foremost, this is going to be producing a few inches of snow for places there in northeastern New Mexico, extreme southeastern Colorado, into the Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle, maybe even to far western Oklahoma, on the order of around 2 to 4 inches of additional accumulation on top of what we've already been seeing here in these areas. Now, looking at the stronger thunderstorm potential, we are looking at a level 1 out of 5 on the risk scale. That's a marginal risk in the dark green, extending from North Florida all the way back into central Texas here. So Dallas, Fort Worth, Shreveport, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, down here into the Gulfport, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, Tallahassee and Panama City and the Big Bend of Florida actually in that risk area for today. And looking at the hazards, they could be seeing a brief isolated tornado or two, a 2% chance of a tornado from East Texas all the way through southern Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Northwest Florida. Within a 25-mile radius, we could be seeing a tornado today. We also do have the chance for some strong damaging winds, 60 miles per hour or greater in this brown shade of color, similar areas to the tornado threat, and then the hail threat as well, especially a little bit further west there in Texas, as those storms have a little bit more instability through the day. Now, as we go into the Sunday, March 9th, tomorrow, marginal risk level 1 out of 5 in the dark green shifts east. So this moves into southeastern Alabama, southern Georgia, and North Florida. So we're talking the Savannah, Georgia area, Jacksonville, over here to Gainesville, Tallahassee, the Big Bend of Florida there, and Panama City once again as we go into Sunday. Now, let's look at the storms and time them out across the southeast here to get you aware of these storms. And again, all of these storms, regardless, will have lightning. So lightning can be a dangerous component to these storms as well, not just the tornadoes, hail, and winds, but we definitely have to watch out for some flooding rains too. Notice how these storms moving over the same areas as we go through this evening, and then we slide into Sunday morning around daybreak, and we see some scattered showers and storms, most notably across North Florida there with heavy rain. And then we go through the day on Sunday and notice a lot of the storm activity through Sunday just kind of training from west to east over the same area, southern Georgia, North Florida here, and that could cause a flooding risk as we go all the way through even your Monday morning commute before the rainfall starts to taper off from the west to the east as we go through Monday morning. And the rainfall going to be plentiful across the southern and southeastern U.S. We can see heavy rains down here into southern Oklahoma, North Texas, averaging around a ½ inch to an inch of rain. Same thing for most of Dixie Alley. And then we look here down at Florida and southern Georgia, could be seeing upwards to 4, possibly 5 inches of rain here. And this includes the Jacksonville area, Tallahassee, Gainesville, back to the Big Bend of Florida, Panama City. And even as far north as Savannah, Georgia, seeing at least an inch or two of rain as we go through your Monday morning commute. Now, as we go into next week, we are going to see spring, and it is going to be much warmer as we go into next week with our temperatures east of the Rockies. A lot of oranges and reds over here, and that is going to promote temperatures that are in the 60s and 70s, a lot further north into the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley. And that could lead to some record-breaking highs up here into parts of the northern plains like the Dakotas and the upper Midwest like Minnesota, perhaps even Wisconsin. As we go into even Monday, March 10th, these square boxes show you that we have the potential to reach those record highs, and then we just see a little bit of a cool front bringing some cooler air from the north down into the upper Midwest Tuesday and Wednesday, but then we rebound right back Thursday into Friday with a big warm sector ahead of our next significant storm system. So we're looking at the storm system. First, our friends out west are going to get that storm as we go into early next week. We got kind of almost like a kicker system that's going to bring some moisture into especially central and southern California foothills through Arizona and New Mexico. And then our big trough comes in on shore of the West Coast midweek. This is Wednesday into Thursday, the 12th into the 13th of March. And then that'll swing across the plains and eject up toward the upper Midwest. And this could be a big player for a blizzard and also high winds, flooding rains, and severe weather. So a big component with that storm system. Let's look at here out across the western U.S. This is Monday, March 10th. Notice we got in the green, the rain, the blue is the snow, and if you see pink on here, that would be freezing rain or sleet. Notice here as we go in towards Monday, a lot of that moisture is going to be pretty far south. So Southern California, maybe the Central California foothills, and then down here toward Arizona. And notice the moisture is not really that plentiful with that. So it's going to be starved for moisture early in the week. Then our main trough comes in, and that could produce even more moisture, and this will be a heavier moisture source for the Sierras, so the Sierra Mountains, seeing some very heavy snow, and then very heavy rain for central Southern California foothills, and then a heavy snowmaker for the Rockies from Montana all the way south to Arizona and New Mexico as we go into that Friday time frame on March 14th next week. So looking at the rainfall and the liquid precipitation out west, heaviest rains across portions of the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, Eugene, and Medford, all the way down here into portions of the western coastline of California, on the order of around, 3, 4, 5 inches worth of rain, and then the heavy snows will take over in the higher elevations where the temperatures are naturally cooler, and you see the heaviest snows in the Sierras there. Most of the Sierra Mountain Range actually going to be seeing over 3, 4 feet of snow with this, and much of the Rockies getting in on a foot or two of snow as well. And that's not only just limited to the north. Areas in Arizona and New Mexico, Utah, Colorado could be seeing some pretty heavy snow of over a foot as well. Then as we go into midweek, we're watching that kicker system that first affected California. We can see it's into the Texas Panhandle by Wednesday mid-morning, and that could produce a little bit of some rain and or thunderstorms across the lower, maybe mid-Mississippi River Valley as we go into Wednesday evening and Thursday, middle into the late portion of the week. This could produce some isolated heavy rain and isolated severe weather. Not too concerned about tornadoes with this system. It's the system behind it that really deepens, and this could produce a big blizzard on the backside. Look at the isobars, very tight. You have some heavy snow in the Dakotas, Nebraska, western Minnesota, back here into Colorado, and that could produce a whiteout condition across those areas. And then the cold front and warm front we have to watch on the eastern flank of this system for some severe weather and possibly some tornadoes across the Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley and Dixie Alley as we go into later next week. Now, let's look at the first system. This could produce some rainfall. Again, heaviest rains averaging around northern Mississippi, southwestern Tennessee. So we're talking the Tupelo, Yazoo City area up there toward Memphis, perhaps even into Jackson, Tennessee, watching out for that. Now, we got that system. Remember, that strong low right behind it. Thursday afternoon, look how deep this low pressure strengthens to as we go into Friday morning, down to 978 millibars there into eastern Colorado and western Kansas, and then it adjusts projects up there towards the northeast, towards Iowa, as a 980 millibar low. And this is just an average, folks. Some of these ensemble members are showing this down into the upper 960s, low 970s range for a low pressure. And that would be record breaking for a lot of areas up here into the northern tier of the U.S. and a very powerful storm with winds as well. So let's look here at the system, and you can see as we go into later on in the week, remember we have that big blizzard with the tight isobars on the back side, and then heavy rain and some severe weather on the Mississippi River Valley side there. Here's the heavy snowfall, the Dakotas, western Minnesota, Nebraska, back to Colorado, and even our friends to the north into Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec could be seeing some heavier snow from this as well. Note the strong winds coming in on the back side, northwesterly winds sustained at 20 to 35 miles per hour, gusts well over that, possibly over 60 miles per hour, creating near whiteout conditions across parts of the Dakotas, Nebraska, and into Colorado as we go toward the weekend. Now on the warm side, we are watching the potential for some severe weather. Again, the Mississippi Valley here, and this could produce the threat for tornadoes, widespread damaging winds, and some hail out there. The parameters are coming into place. The uptrend of moisture actually up into the Midwest, wherever you see this green, all the way up into northern Illinois there toward the Illinois-Wisconsin state line. Those are with dew points that are up to near 60 degrees as we go into Friday afternoon, Friday evening on March 14th. And then down here where you see the almost yellows into Louisiana, Mississippi, western Tennessee, those are dew points in the mid 60s likely as we go into that time frame. And we have a very energetic 500 millibar jet streak rounding the base of that trough. A lot of wind energy with this storm, so that's going to create the lift for those thunderstorms to develop, organize, and sustain themselves, and they definitely could produce some severe weather. And you can see that heavy rain setup as well starting to take hold into the Ohio, Tennessee River Valley, down into the deep south as we go into Saturday with heavy rain and severe weather, and then that'll just cruise to the east as we go through the day on Sunday. So looking at the rainfall, we're going to be seeing the potential for some heavy rain flash flooding for the Ohio River Valley, Tennessee Valley, down here into the deep south and southeast. So make sure you are prepared for that. Even people that have been affected by Hurricane Helene could be impacted by the heavy rainfall here, unfortunately, as we go into the weekend. So something to keep an eye on there. Beyond that point, we're going to be watching for what we call a sudden stratospheric warming event. We've been talking about this the last few videos, and it still looks like we're going to see that as we go into next week as the stratosphere begins to warm. It's a 1 to 2 week lag from when the stratosphere warms to where we get the cold air from the stratosphere penetrating down into where we live in the troposphere. And notice as we go into the next week, the third week of March, this is Monday, March 17th through around the 19th, 20th time frame. Notice it's still colder out west and then warmer than normal out east because it takes a 1 to 2 weeks for that to penetrate from the stratosphere down to the troposphere with the colder air. And then watch as we go here into the last week there of March, you notice that that colder air is penetrating down into where we live in the troposphere, and that is mainly confined to eastern Canada and the eastern United States, and a lot of the lower 48 actually cooler than normal from that. But it's going to be an active pattern still. So we're going to see some active weather, a lot of green on here into the third, even fourth week there of March. So we're going to be seeing quite a bit of some moisture out there, and further south as well, areas that are seeing drought developing could see some moisture as we go into late March. And some of that to the north could be cold enough with the sudden stratospheric warming event with the colder air coming down to the south. Could be giving us some snow there into the northern tier as we go into the late March. So don't put your snow boots, don't put your snow shovel and salt away yet. We may still need it across parts of the northern plains, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the interior parts of the Northeast, and especially southern and southeastern Canada. A lot of areas there, but we still have the potential as we go into late March. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Follow along with all my detailed, accurate, and reliable weather information here on YouTube simply by pressing the subscribe button. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, especially if you did enjoy it and it's very informative for you and detailed. Also, share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Hopefully everybody can get outside this weekend and next week and enjoy some warmer weather and spring-like temperatures before that big nasty storm comes through later next week. We'll continue to track that here for you on this channel. Thank you for watching and have a safe rest of your weekend out there.